My goodness, that's a great question because you would probably get just a handful of people that would be on that list.
At 68, Vince Gill may have the smooth voice and friendly smile fans adore. But behind the curtain, insiders whisper about a secret list he keeps. 7 names of artists he just couldn't stand working with. From longtime rivals to silent betrayals, each feud reveals the clash between Vince's devotion to tradition and others chasing spectacle or stardom. Fans are especially shocked by number 4, a rivalry no one saw coming. One thing's clear, Nashville's nicest guy may also have the longest memory. Number 7, Garth Brooks. Vince Gill and Garth Brooks ruled the country charts in the 90s, but they were never allies. Garth brought fire, stadium tours, and pyrotechnics, things Vince never embraced. To Vince, it all felt like too much show and not enough substance. Rumors swirled that Garth once asked Vince for a major duet, but Vince quietly declined, not for scheduling, but for principle. He believed country music was about storytelling and soul, not Broadway with boots, a phrase Vince once joked at a CMA event. Fans laughed, but industry insiders knew exactly who he was talking about. Their paths stayed separate for decades, with Vince collaborating with nearly everyone, but never Garth. Even during award show performances, the two kept their distance. To this day, their silence speaks louder than words. Number 6, Kris Kristofferson. Kris Kristofferson and Vince Gill came from opposite sides of country's spectrum. Kristofferson was the outlaw poet, writing raw, unpolished songs that captured emotion more than perfection. Vince, on the other hand, built his career on flawless guitar work, crystal clear vocals, and careful craftsmanship. That difference created a quiet rivalry. Vince never openly trashed Kris, but insiders say he struggled to respect Kristofferson's messy style, even while admiring his lyrics. Their interactions were always polite but distant. To Vince, Kris represented rebellion against Nashville's system, while Vince represented its rules. This wasn't a feud of insults. It was a clash of philosophies. Kristofferson broke the mold, Vince protected it, and that quiet tension lingered for years, shaping how both men were remembered within the genre. The tension between Vince Gill and Kris Kristofferson wasn't just about personality. It was about two visions of country music. Kristofferson was the outlaw poet, a rebel who turned real-life struggles into raw, unpolished songs. Vince, meanwhile, believed country should balance creativity with professionalism, every note deliberate and every lyric crafted with care. That contrast reflected the larger war inside country music: tradition versus rebellion, Polish versus grit. Vince once admitted he respected the outlaw movement for pushing boundaries, but thought some rebels ignored the basics of good songwriting. Fans didn't miss the hint. He was talking about Kris. To Vince, Kristofferson broke too many rules, while Vince made a career out of honoring them. Their differences shaped country for decades. Kristofferson inspired legends like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings to abandon Nashville's formula. Vince mentored stars like Brad Paisley and Keith Urban, who mixed technical mastery with modern sounds. They rarely clashed in public, but their quiet rivalry symbolized the divide that still runs through the genre today. Number 5, Billy Ray Cyrus. In the early 1990s, Billy Ray Cyrus exploded onto the scene with Achy Breaky Heart. Overnight, it became a cultural phenomenon, sparking a nationwide line dancing craze. Dance halls were packed, radio stations blasted it nonstop, and Billy Ray was suddenly a household name. But Vince Gill was not impressed. To him, the song wasn't moving country forward, it was dragging it backwards. Sure, it was catchy, but Vince thought it was more gimmick than music. Big hair, tight jeans, and flashy country rock style. To Vince, it felt more like marketing than artistry. Behind the scenes, the two were polite but icy. They crossed paths at award shows, but there was no warmth and never a collaboration. Insiders say Vince quietly kept his distance, skeptical of Billy Ray's pop-driven sound. He saw him as someone chasing chart success rather than pouring soul into storytelling. To Vince, Achy Breaky Heart wasn't just a song, it was a warning sign. He worried it would inspire a wave of artists who cared more about image and hooks than authenticity. And in many ways, he was right. In the years that followed, more pop-flavored acts flooded the scene, and country's identity began to blur. Still, even Vince couldn't deny Billy Ray's influence. He brought in new fans, younger listeners, and opened doors for crossover hits. That legacy stretched even further when his daughter, Miley Cyrus, rose to fame, blending pop and country through her Hannah Montana era. The Cyrus family blurred the lines between genres even more, a shift Vince never openly commented on, but one he surely noticed. For Vince, Billy Ray's success wasn't just another rivalry. It was a symbol of a battle for country music's soul, between heartfelt ballads and bubblegum hits, between substance and spectacle. And that battle was only just beginning. Number 4. Shania Twain. Shania Twain didn't just join country music. She rewrote the rules. With glittering outfits, polished production, and pop hooks that could dominate both country and top 40 charts, she became the queen of country pop. Her album Come On Over alone sold millions, pulling in fans from around the globe. For many, she was a trailblazer. For Vince Gill, she was a problem. Vince built his career on authenticity, soulful ballads, masterful guitar work, and lyrics that came from raw human experience. To him, country music was never about glamour or crossover fame. It was about telling the truth through music. So when Shania brought sparkly clothes and glossy pop anthems like Man, I Feel Like a Woman and That Don't Impress Me Much, Vince saw it as a clash of values. He never attacked her publicly. There were no harsh interviews, no snide comments. But his silence spoke volumes. While others celebrated Shania's global success, Vince never paid her tribute, never praised her albums, never collaborated with her. In Nashville's tight-knit circle, that silence was louder than words. To Vince, Shania represented the commercialization of country, the shift from dirt roads and heartbreak ballads to bubblegum beats and stadium pop. Yet Shania's impact was undeniable. She shattered barriers for women in country, proving they could dominate charts, sell out world tours, and redefine the genre itself. Her success paved the way for Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift, and Kelsey Ballerini, artists who leaned into pop but were embraced as country stars. Meanwhile, Vince continued to stand for a different ideal, championing artists like Patti Loveless and Leanne Womack, whose traditional styles didn't always get the same mainstream love. The divide between Vince and Shania wasn't personal, it was philosophical. One embodied country's glossy future, the other fought to preserve its soulful past. Together, they represented the two paths the genre could take. Number 3. Jason Aldean. If Shania was the queen of country pop, Jason Aldean became the poster child for bro country. Loud guitars, party anthems, lifted trucks, beer-soaked weekends, and small-town pride. His songs were tailor-made for tailgates and stadium crowds. Younger fans loved the energy, the freedom, the fun. But to Vince Gill, Aldean's style symbolized everything wrong with modern country. Where Vince prized depth, honesty, and musicianship, Aldean thrived on catchiness and spectacle. To Vince, it wasn't storytelling. It was marketing wrapped in 3 chords and a beer can. The tension between them wasn't about personality. It was about what country music should be. For Vince, every song was a story meant to connect to real lives. For Aldean, it was about the vibe, the adrenaline, the crowd chanting along. 2 massive stars, 2 very different visions, and a riff that cut to the heart of the genre. Number 2. Jason Aldean. For Vince Gill, songwriting has always been sacred. Every lyric should carry honesty, heart, and weight. That's why Jason Aldean's music strikes him as hollow. The bro country anthems, the lifted truck lifestyle, the beer-fueled party themes. They may fill stadiums, but in Vince's eyes, they drain the soul out of country music. To Vince, Aldean's songs are more about branding than storytelling. Loud guitars, slick hooks, and shallow words can dominate radio, but they don't honor the craft he's devoted his life to. That's why Vince quietly avoids shows and ceremonies where Aldean takes center stage. No outbursts, no public feuds, just a silent boycott that makes his loyalties clear. Vince would rather stand behind tradition than clap for trends. This divide runs deeper than 2 men. Aldean represents a culture shift, country music marketed as an image, a lifestyle, a brand. Vince represents its roots, a voice for life's struggles and victories. Fans are split. Some crave Aldean's high-energy nights, Others cling to Vince's timeless ballads. Both have shaped the genre, but in completely different ways. One pushes it toward the spotlight of mainstream pop culture, the other pulls it back to its storytelling heart. That tension defines country music even now. Number 1. Kanye West. And then there's Kanye West. He's not a country artist, but his shadow still looms over conversations about music that values spectacle over substance. Kanye thrives on headlines, chaos, and the cult of personality. For Vince Gill, that's everything music should never become. Vince has never called Kanye out by name, but his critiques of modern stars often land right in Kanye's world. Artists who turn the stage into a shrine for themselves, who make music a tool for ego instead of connection. Kanye builds chaos to sell records. Vince builds emotion to share meaning. Kanye glorifies narcissism. Vince believes narcissism kills authenticity. It's a clash of values, not genres. Kanye chases influence. Vince guards integrity. One makes noise, the other makes soul. Their paths may never cross, but together they symbolize the cultural battle at the heart of music today. Flash versus feeling, branding versus story, ego versus song. And in this battle, Vince has chosen his side. He's never chased clout, never bent to trends, never sacrificed craft for fame. He knows that silence can be louder than words. By staying absent from flashy celebrations and pop-driven movements, Vince sends a message that resonates across the industry. Music should serve the heart, not the ego. But here's the twist. While Vince has quietly resisted these changes, the genre around him has continued to evolve. The fractures he's fought against aren't closing, they're widening. And the biggest proof of that came with one of the most polarizing figures country music has ever seen.